And one of the other transfers that Mark was just mentioning there, of course, is Chelsea's move for 21-year-old Monaco centre-back Benoit Badiashile for a fee of around £35 million. So for more on this, let's speak with French football expert Jonathan Johnson, who joins us now. Jonathan, fantastic to see you. Thanks so much for coming on. I want to talk about Badiashile, of course, and all other things bubbling away in France. But what are you hearing about Badiashile? What can you tell us?
Hey there, thanks a lot for having me back on. Festive greetings as well. The latest on him in France at this moment in time is that there is obviously interest from Chelsea. Monaco looking to extract as big a fee as possible. It's not an ideal time for them to let go of him, especially given how their domestic season is going so far. Certainly, far from guaranteed a Champions League berth at this moment in time. And, he will be key to any hopes of rectifying that over the second half of the season. So it sounds like Monaco are pushing for sort of upwards of £50 million in terms of a fee to potentially do business now. But obviously that would mean that Monaco have to look for a replacement as well, try and identify, a way to fill the gap. And, that's not going to be easy to do, especially when clubs know that you have money in your coffers, once you do a deal of this size. So I don't think, Monaco have absolutely made up their minds that they want to let him go yet, but they are wary, that they might be able to cash in to greater effect now than, say, perhaps if they leave it until the summer, given that his contract is not particularly lengthy.
Tell us a bit about Badiashile. I mean, what are his attributes? What kind of a player are Chelsea getting there potentially?
He's a very talented player, somebody, who I expect to fully develop into a top defender in the future. I wouldn't necessarily say that he's as Premier League ready as some of the players that we've seen come from France to Premier League sides in the past. I don't think he's necessarily at the level of a Saliba or a Fofana just yet. I'd liken him more to probably a bit more of a polished version of Kurt Zouma when Zouma arrived in the Premier League. I do think he will need time to develop to find his feet, but he certainly has the attributes to succeed in the Premier League. His build lends himself to being, good in the air. He's not uncomfortable with the ball at his feet either, reads the game very well. So he's somebody who I do think would be, tailor-made for the Premier League.
Because, of course, Chelsea have added centre-backs recently in the form of Wesley Fofana and Kalidou Koulibaly as well. So where do you see Badiashile fitting in? A potential long-term replacement for Thiago Silva?
I think logically, he is definitely a player for the future. I think, Thiago Silva, especially after the World Cup now, it's difficult to put a finger on exactly how long he'll be able to keep going at the highest level. I know that he is obviously an evergreen performer, but the assumption would be, he'll probably be moving on sooner rather than later. Koulibaly as well, somebody who I think Chelsea will be, not necessarily planning without, over the next couple of years, but they'll know that, he's sort of closer to, the latter stage of his career as opposed to his prime. Badiashile is somebody who, is yet to come into, what would be expected to be the best years of his career. So I certainly think he's somebody who could come in now, perhaps be part of the rotation and develop into a starting option for Chelsea, with a view to sort of the next couple of seasons. I certainly wouldn't expect him to come in and immediately command a starting berth.
He wasn't in the France World Cup squad that got to the final. Was he close to going to Qatar?
I do think he was, not too far off being considered. When we saw the likes of Kimpembe being forced out last minute because of injury, there was perhaps an assumption that he would be one of the players potentially called up. He didn't get the call in the end, but I don't think he was really that far away from being a part of Didier Deschamps' plans. He's somebody who has been given international experience in the past. And, perhaps when he looks at the likes of Youssouf Fofana, his teammate at Monaco, being called up to the squad, perhaps he'll feel a little aggrieved that he didn't get the experience of going on that trip and on that fantastic run to the final as well. But I certainly think that he is a player who will play a part for France in the future, assuming that his development continues on this current trajectory.
Monaco have done well in the past, haven't they, selling players in recent years? A large number of quality players have come through their ranks. But was there much interest in Badiashile from other clubs? I think Newcastle mentioned, weren't they, as well, in the last window?
Yeah, a number of Premier League clubs have been linked with him in the past. Obviously, sporting director Paul Mitchell, is one of the best in the business at Monaco, and he will be wary of the fact that a number of top European clubs, not just Premier League clubs, have been looking at Badiashile now for some time. But I think the feeling was always that it would take a club with sort of the financial clout of a Chelsea to perhaps prize, Badiashile away from Stade Louis II, and this, perhaps is maybe not the best timing for it, but in terms of the potential value that Monaco can extract, it is interesting timing, and I don't think it's something that Monaco will completely dismiss out of hand immediately. It is a question though of whether they can line up adequate replacements for him before. Opting to accept a potential move. And obviously, like I said, they're pushing, to extract a fee upwards of £50 million. So that suggests that the initial exchanges have perhaps fallen a little short of Monaco's valuation based on some of that previous interest.
Let's talk about Angers, bottom of the league on at the moment. A couple of players, though, that absolutely starred in the World Cup for Morocco, including, I think he's a midfielder, isn't he? Ukahi. If I'm pronouncing it right, apologies if I'm not. But there was two players, wasn't there, I think, who played for Angers, who were in the Morocco team. Are they expecting to have a lot of phone calls this window, would you expect?
Yeah, Angers have been having a lot of phone calls already. You've got Unahi, the midfielder you were mentioning, and Sofiane Boufal as well, who Premier League fans might or might not remember from his time at Southampton. And these are two players who really excelled as part of that, that heartwarming Morocco run, finishing fourth place at the World Cup, first African and Arab nation to reach the semi-final, as a fantastic achievement from the squad. And it's inevitable that, when you've got, managers like Luis Enrique, praising the likes of Unahi, you're going to have other managers, other clubs sitting up around Europe taking notice of this. And, I can say for a fact that Angers have already been fielding offers for some of their star performers, not in a good position in terms of the Ligue 1 table. Relegation to Ligue 2 does look like a probability more than a possibility at this moment in time. We'll see if that changes over the second half of the season. My understanding is that Angers are wary that they can cash in, on two-star performers now, but there is a preference for them to try and keep them on loan maybe for the remaining part of the season, which potentially could be a deal breaker. There's been interest coming in from all over Europe, notably Italy of late as well. So there will be competition for Unahi's signature. And I think Angers would probably be best advised to wait and see which offers come in, perhaps in the first week or so of the transfer window before opting to accept something, because I think some of the offers that have arrived so far are perhaps a little below what they've been looking for. Unahi in particular, Boufal, a bit further along in his career, I don't think will command the same sort of fee, but certainly two players that a lot of clubs in Europe are looking at right now.
Yeah, Unahi, top player. Aaron Ramsey hasn't returned to Nice following Wales' early exit from the World Cup. What do we know about that? What's going on there?
Yeah, Nice manager Lucien Favre has been talking about it, saying that there is a lot of disappointment, for Ramsey to try to digest. Obviously, Wales majorly underperformed at the World Cup, and he's yet to return to training with Nice. Nice, starting to look a bit more upwardly mobile now this season than they were at the beginning of the campaign. Venturing into the top half now. Ramsey has featured regularly for them, and I think there is an expectation that he will be back for domestic duty eventually. I don't know, perhaps him having to digest, having to get over what happened at the World Cup might, be Favre's way of alluding to the fact that maybe Ramsey is considering his international future. I guess we'll have to wait and see for clarification on that. But I'm sure that Ramsey will, return to training with Nice at some point in the coming weeks. You do have, a variety of players either taking a bit of time off after the World Cup, or some trying to get straight back into action in order to erase what might be painful memories of the World Cup. For example, you've got the PSG quartet of Mbappe, Neymar, Marquinhos, Hakimi, who have already been back in training and are expected to feature in action later today, in fact. But you have others who perhaps have a bit more to consider, like a Ramsey, who, let's face it, is probably approaching the last couple of years of his international career. Maybe even this might have been his last international tournament already. So perhaps that's what Fav was alluding to.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, that, isn't it? Father saying he hasn't spoken to Ramsey seems odd, doesn't it, in many ways? But you're going to PSG's game tonight, are you, against Strasbourg? We expected to see all of their World Cup stars on display, Messi and Mbappe and so on.
There won't be any Lionel Messi. My understanding is that he won't be back until early in 2023. So PSG have Strasbourg this evening. They also have Lens coming up on New Year's Day. Messi won't be involved in any of those. You can expect Mbappe, Neymar, Marquinhos, Hakimi to be involved. Perhaps there will be a bit of a rest then for that quartet once the PSG get into the domestic cup action, which will probably see Messi make his first appearance for PSG since winning the World Cup. But Christophe Galtier receiving an unexpected boost, with Mbappe and Hakimi so keen to get back into training, immediately after the World Cup, and then Neymar, Marquinhos checked in a day or so after them. So to have World Cup stars like them immediately back and available for selection, that is an unexpected boost, because I do think that PSG were perhaps suspecting that they might be without some of their World Cup performers in these first two games.
Great stuff. Jonathan, enjoy the game tonight. Fantastic to speak to you as always.